Hi, and welcome to the Unlimited Power series, where we've searched the globe to find some of the most amazing experts. These experts are masters in intuitive guidance, communication with angels and spirit guides, and connecting with the power from within. I brought these experts together today to help you discover the power that is within you. My vision is for you to create an extraordinary life so that you can reach your absolute potential. My name is Monique Farrell, and I'm your host. I'm honored and I'm blessed to have interviewed some truly amazing people who are willing to share their stories with us, their tips, and their proven strategies to help us find our higher consciousness. I am so excited today to introduce Sara Troy. She is owner and host of Self-Discovery Radio and Community Network. Hi, Sara, and welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, and thank you so much for having me. I'm very honored to be here.
Well, we're honored to have you, and we're looking forward to hearing everything you have to offer. Can you first tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, and a little bit about how you got to where you are right now?
Well, I am a British born, lived in South Africa, a bit in the States, but ended up here in Canada. Married, had 3 children, cat, dog, divorce, and then seeked a new future. Been on quite a journey, but it is all in self-discovery, exploration of who we are, what we can contribute, that meaningful purpose. And it's now led me to Victoria, BC in Canada, a beautiful island, and 6 years on and on hosting, 5 years in June of my radio station, and truly and utterly living in my potential.
Oh, that's awesome, amazing. What a journey you've had, different places you've lived. That's, I'm sure, all the different places you've lived, you've gained so much in each place. Can you tell us what is knowingness?
Knowingness is something that I've always done, this lifetime, past lifetimes, but didn't always understand what it is I was doing. I always say that knowingness is, when people say to you, it's a gut feeling. I can't explain, it's just a gut feeling. I call that the divine soul knowledge coming in, and it then resonates with the heart, and the heart gets passionate about it, and it gives it to the spirit to go into action. And then your mind knows what it needs to know at the time it needs to know it. And your whole body just erects and the chakras open, and that knowledge that you've just downloaded and you know it. Don't need to validate it, verify it, nothing. It is the truth of what you need to know in that moment, and that is knowingness.
Okay. And you find a lot of people have blocks to get to that knowingness?
Too much head conversation. It's always but why? Analyze, should I, this and that. And I think if we get out of our head and listen to our soul, heart, and spirits, then we will actually understand what the head is trying to tell us. And we've also got to remember that the mind is conditioning. It is programming. Yeah. It's everything that we've learned. So all that knowledge is there. And when we trust this other process, what we do need to know that is relevant to the situation will be there. If we're just stuck in our head trying to go through this data, we're stuck up in going through all the files of the data, and we're kind of missing that connection to the information that we really do want.
For sure. And I think a lot of people, too many people are like you said, stuck in their mind. Do you have some tips or strategies that you can give our audience to at least start the process of getting out of the mind and more into their heart and soul?
First and foremost, recognize that you are going on this treadmill of looking through your filing cabinet in your mind for an answer. And it's like, okay, I need to step back. Second, breathe. Some really good, long, deep breaths. Slow everything down. Step out of the mind. Go and do something that maybe it's gardening, walking, play with the cat or the dog, the children, something that will redirect you out of mind and put you into something that has more of a flow. And you know how it's like, that's the answer I was looking for. It's because you stopped thinking about it. We need to feel the knowledge, but we also need to allow the knowledge to come to us. So step out of the head in any which way you can and go and put yourself in a place where that rhythm and that flow is there, because that opens everything up.
For sure it does. And too many of us are just going through the day, like so much that we don't even take that time. That old saying, stop and smell the roses. Stop and breathe.
You breathe. I think, so many people are holding their breath. I was at a bus stop the other day and I was watching all these cars go rushing by me, and I thought, are they going faster than they used to, or have I slowed down? And I realized that in slowing myself down, I'm more aware of my surroundings. I'm more aware of the beauty that's there, the answers that are there, the reason for my presence. And in allowing that to happen and stop being in such a rush to get somewhere, but enjoy the journey, even the slow moments, because everything has its reason.
Yeah. And it slows your brain down.
Everything.
That enough that you can actually connect and hear what's going on deep within you, and not just the constant chatter in your head.
Yeah, hard to do, I know, but you just got to find your trigger and, okay, I realize I'm in my head. What is it do I need to do that I can honor myself in stepping out of that and do something for me? And if it's kids, put on a video, leave me alone for a moment, whatever works, right? But you've got to take that time for you. If not, you're like a rubber band that's going to snap at some point.
For sure. And once you can do that, what the magic that can happen when you start listening to your inner soul.
Creativity. We are awesome creative creatures. Really just stop and look at what we've accomplished as human beings. Now, we've got a long way to go in humanity, caring for one another, but we are awesome and we are so creative, and that comes from tapping in, allowing things to happen and exploring, not dictating. And when you step into that creativity and you just take the journey, you discover things about yourself that you never knew were there, and it's very exciting.
For sure. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to call this series Unlimited Powers, because we all collectively, we have unlimited powers. We're born with it. And it's what we do with it.
We're all Wonder Women. We're all Supermen. We've just got to step into our powers.
And allow our children to not lose that power. Give them what they need to, so that they don't lose it and that they can stay connected.
If you look at an adult and the problems they have, it goes back to childhood, where they were stopped being allowed to do what they love to do and were told to conform. No, you can't do it this way. You must do it that way. 40, 50, 60 years of age, they realize, I've always wanted to do that, but conditioning told me to go this way. And they want to bring that passion back out. That's what they were always meant to do. If we water and we nurture that and see where it goes, who knows what wonderment we would have out there. This conformity in the box, you must be normal. What is that?
Yeah, everyone has their own normal. It's like I have an 8-year-old, and she'll talk about what she wants to do when she gets bigger. And I said, you can do whatever you want.
Exactly.
Whatever you want. But you have to put your mind to it. You have to put your heart and soul into it, that this is what's going to make me happy. And she'll go from, I want to be a teacher, but I also want to do this and this. And, and it's like, yeah, you can do what you want to do.
And by allowing her to believe that she can be anything she wants to be, and whether it's an astronaut today or a ballet dancer tomorrow, who cares? They're discovering in their self-discovery of what it is they truly love to do. Yeah. And it's only by exploring it and trying it out and seeing if it's a fit, are they going to actually find out what is their, quote, musical instrument and what they're going to be playing. But if we don't allow them to explore it, or if we dictate what they should be doing rather than what they, encouraging them to what they want to explore, we're denying them their own beautiful divine creativity.
Yes. I find, compared to, say, when my parents were younger and they left school and they got people in my parents' generation, like my parents were in their 70s, they found a job and they stayed at that job for 30, 40 years. More people nowadays, and I think as the younger kids are going to be growing up and going into the workforce, people don't stay in jobs and don't, because they want to experience everything.
nor should they. I mean, do you just eat a steak or a potato on the thing? I mean, life is a feast.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, today you might be into fish and tomorrow into meat. Who cares? You know, try it all, because it's so many people I've interviewed that have been in corporate, and then that inner voice said, hang on, you know, this is what you were meant to do, follow that path. But everything they've learned in corporate now has given them a good foundation in which to springboard to do what they love to do.
Yeah.
Nothing we do is a mistake. It's all a lesson. It's all in our toolkit to help us move forward.
It's our journey of life to get to where we, you know, where we want to be, and that journey just keeps continuing, because when we get to where we want to be, there's somewhere else we want to learn and do something else. So it is a continuous journey.
It's in our DNA to be explorers. Otherwise, you know, we would never discover what other nationalities or countries are around there. So and the more we do that, the more in that exploration, the more we discover, the more it unites us and the more it builds a community. I mean, look at what the internet has done in bringing the world smaller.
Yeah, it has. Like, you're across the country from me, and we're able to communicate and do this and share. Can I ask you about channeling?
Well, and, you know, as I said, in that knowingness, you're channeling. And everybody think, oh, only certain people can channel. Every single one of us can. But again, it's getting out of the chatter of the head. Yeah. And when you line up those chakras, and it's literally, you know, sitting up, being calm, being peaceful, and allowing. That channeling everybody does do. And it comes sometimes in the form of a dream, or a daydream, or just a little deja vu of something you've done before. And all of those things that we dismiss are actually your form of channeling and downloading what the universe wants you to know. And if we paid more attention to it and were willing to sit into it and open it up more, we would actually get more information of what we really need to know. But we are, as human beings, kind of meant to question it. But how is it happening? Why is it happening? What are the... Step out of that. Allow it to happen. And the more it does, the more you trust it. And the more you actually understand the messages that you're getting. But it's just simply opening up and allowing that knowledge to come through you. And quite essentially that knowingness.
Do you find a lot of people, fear gets in the way of allowing that?
Yeah. We want to be in control. And only when we actually understand this, that we have absolutely no control, and that we actually understand we have control over that. We have control over our choices. We have, you know, control over how we're going to react to something, what we're going to do with that knowledge. That's where we have the control. We don't have the control of what happens to us. And if we let go of this, I need to be in control, I need to know, I need to dictate what happens, and get out of that way, we will actually be more empowered to actually step out of fear, because we'll be more in trust. When you're in tune with your knowingness and your channeling, you're in trust of the knowledge you're getting. You don't second guess it. It's there. It's your truth. You know it. You trust it. But when we step from a fear perspective or trying to control everything, that's when we, you know, run into trouble.
I find not only fear, but judgment that people have. Judgment of worried about other people's judgment of what they're doing, and even judgment of themselves.
Big one. And I'll be the first one to admit that, you know, I've been a people pleaser all my life, and it was me bending myself into a pretzel to try and give everybody what they want, and everybody wanted something different of me. So who ended up in the knot? Moi.
Yeah.
Right? And if I didn't do it, I displeased them, and there'll be judgment on me. And there's still plenty of judgment on me now, but that is their issue, not mine.
Yeah.
You know, if you cannot receive me, then we're just simply not on the same channel, or not on the same wavelength. And I don't take that as an offense at all. We're just not connected. But people who like to pass judgment all the time are people that are in search of something within themselves. And we have to be very careful, very mindful. If somebody's on a different path and a different journey, respect that. That's their journey. If it's not in sync with yours, that's fine. No nastiness needs to happen. Which
makes it much happier. There's too much nastiness about that all around judgment. And then you become more nasty and judgmental with yourself.
Yes, and this other thing of trying to live up to an image, other people's expectation.
Mm-hmm.
You're either too fat, too thin, you're too white, you're too black, you're too gray, you're too this. There's always going to be something you're too.
Yeah.
And really the answer is to be, I'm just too awesome for you.
There's that, you're too something, or you should be doing this.
All right, yes, get that a lot.
That you should be.
Mm-hmm. And don't you find it always comes from people who have no idea what it is you're doing?
Yes, for sure, it does. Can you talk a bit about what our inner truth is and how it connects with someone's happiness, with everyone, with their own life and with everyone around them? What is that inner truth?
That inner truth, that inner honesty is when you are living again from the inside out, when you are living in that knowingness and that channeling. It is that you are resonating you, not what somebody expects from you. Mm-hmm. It's like, how in love relationships, somebody's looking for someone to love them, to define them, to refine them. And it's always a disaster because you always pick up somebody as dysfunctional as you. Now, if you stepped into love of self, contentment with yourself, really at home with yourself, where you can be alone with yourself, with love and with compassion for yourself, that is what you're resonating out. That is your truth. Equally, if you're feeling ugly about yourself, that's your truth as well, but you don't want that because that's what you're going to get back. That's what you're inviting back. If you're stepping into your own love resonance, it's the oxygenate yourself. Give yourself the love oxygen. Feel at home with who you are, why you are, and what you are. That is what you will exude out. And that will draw people who respect that and who want that to be a part of that arena. It's a question of working on that vibration. When you're in that vibration, you attract other people on that same wavelength. If people aren't on that vibration, those are going to be the naysayers, the judgmentalists. You're doing it wrong. And you just don't come down, invite them up. But you're living in your own truth residence, and that is something that will come through the journey of life. And the more and more that you embrace yourself from the inside out and stop beating yourself up for what everybody else wants you to be.
Yeah. So the more you're in your knowingness and channeling, the more you know your true self. Why do you think so many people, and I know we briefly talked about, but so many people lose who they truly are?
Living up to an expectation. We have media telling you what you should be. I mean, I think it's less now. I think it's certainly with the millennials. They're in their own true style. They're not being slaves to your hair must be this way, your makeup be this way, your boobs must be that way, and and you're only successful if you're driving a fast car and have a big property. Again, the amount of people I've interviewed saying I was a slave to my mortgage. Right, to an image I was trying to keep. And I think we see more and more amongst millennials that are just not buying into that. They're going au natural, where this is me, like me or don't like me. And I think that pendulum swing is definitely there. But it's, your discontent with life is if you're always trying to be something you're not. When you embrace something you are in all of it. I am not a petite, skinny woman with long 6-foot legs. I'm not that, And if I wanted to be that, and that was how my happiness was based, I'm going to always be miserable. So love yourself, gray hair, curves, and everything else and all, because that's who you are.
Yeah. I find, like, when you talk about the millennials, they're not, they're looking more within themselves to find happiness, and not that instant gratification and looking and then being disappointed. You know, there's so many people that are looking, okay, I'm going to be really, really happy if I get this. And then they get it and they realize they're not happy because they're not connected with their true self.
I did a wonderful interview with Renee, can't pronounce her surname, but it's The Normal is Over. It's actually about our ecological system and what's causing global warming and everything else. And bottom line of it is consumerism. We've been encouraged that more is better. The more we have, the better it is. And what we're doing is completely destroying our resources because the planet cannot sustain this. But when we have more, we can only consume so much, so the rest of it goes and becomes wasteful. And we've been taught that if you're feeling down and you're feeling sad, just go and buy this, just go and buy that. And so we look at the environment and its distress. We've caused that, but it hasn't brought us any happiness. That new outfit may feel good for 5 minutes, then you go back to feeling miserable again, because really your happiness is an inside job.
Yeah, it is. And the more people that can start looking within and finding that happiness, that becomes contagious. And then you have more people around you. It takes it takes yourself. Start with you, because you can't make anyone else happy.
I would say, inspiration for invitation. When you inspire others, you're inviting them to believe they too can. You're sharing even the tools and the knowledge like we are today. Our journeys are being shared. It inspires someone else to believe that they can take that journey and the tools that we've shared along to apply them in their own lives. And that's what it's about. We are so inspired by people who have had the journey through hell and back. And yet here they are today in their truth, in their beauty, and in their purpose. And they are so much more resonant who they are today than they ever were. And we're inspired by that. That invites us to say, get off your butt and do it too.
And it is a journey. It doesn't, just this interview is not going to fix it all.
No.
But it's the start. And it's the showing people that there is the other side. There is hope. You have to work at it.
Yeah.
But it is a journey of life, and it just keeps going on. And when people realize that you're working with yourself and you're working towards ultimate happiness, it is something most people are willing to do and willing to work at it and go through that journey and see where it takes you.
Yes, that you hit on a big one, willingness. We're in a world of downloadable apps and instant Amazon and everything else, and everybody's just waiting for the delivery. And it's, I'm afraid you have to participate in your own life. But when you've heard someone's story that really has gone through some difficulties, but really you wouldn't blame them if they curled up and died, because it's been so horrific. But here they are today, living in triumph, living in purpose, sharing what they've learned from it in order to serve humanity. And if that doesn't inspire you, I don't know what will. But it also shows you that going through the process of life, the participating through the process, pain isn't just out to get you, it's there to teach you. And struggle is there to teach you how much you're capable of doing. If we didn't have struggle, how would what we could achieve?
Yeah. And when we achieve it, if we didn't have the struggle of you just achieve things, what does it mean?
And where's the gratitude?
And exactly. There's no, it's just, it becomes expected.
Yeah.
So you have to go through the different obstacles in life to appreciate, to have that gratitude, which ultimately brings happiness.
Yeah. And when we look at happiness, my daughter actually is just writing a paper on spirituality, and she kind of considers me very spiritual. She is too, but she comes at it from a different way. She knows the core of people. She can see right through them. That is a form of spirituality. A lot of people think that being spiritual is that, kumbaya, everything is roses, and that nothing is ever bad going to happen, and you're never going to be upset. And that's not reality. We have the darkness at night, we have the lightness at day. There has to be the balance in the yin and yang. And that's really where the key of life is that you find the joy in those moments of sadness. When those sadness have a reason. What the thing is don't get consumed by both. If you're in too much joy where it becomes, I call it hysterical joy, because you're like a sugar high, you're up there, but the crash is going to come, right? Because it's, not feasible. And you don't want to, when you get into a sadness, go, well, I'm sad, now I'm going to go into a deep depression.
Yeah.
It's just recognize it's part of being human, a human being, and that each thing has its own reason for being, and just be in that moment and understand what it is. Don't try and dissect it, just allow it, be it.
Feel it. Exactly, feel it. But don't you find with people that you work with that when they can find that balance and when they can calm the mind and start looking within themselves, that when they do, because like we just said, there's all obstacles in life. When they hit an obstacle in life, they can overcome that much faster if they're not just, it's not just in the head.
Yeah, well, you've done it before. I mean, and every time I've had to face a challenge, I think, oh, can I get through this one? I just turn my eyes to the past. Look what you overcame before. And that was a hell of a lot more difficult. This is just a bump in the road. Take the deep breath, get yourself focused, step away from the problem right now, and then you will see your way through it, over it, around it, whatever it's meant to be. But we're inclined to make our problems, I call it the CNN effect, where they take a pimple and make it into a volcanic eruption. And we are inclined to do that now and again. We take something that's just really something small, and it's panic. And it's like, take a breath. It's not that big. It's not the end of the world. There's no meteor coming for you right now.
If people realize, once you realize what the power you do have within yourself, and when you realize that, then there's not as much fear.
Right.
Then there's not as much judgment. And it's take that deep breath and just do what needs to be done. And it's that much easier. And when you are that connected to yourself, and, your mind, body, and soul is all connected and all in balance. And that was a good point you had made, to be in balance. And when the people that are on that extreme happy all the time, it would be scary when they hit bottom, because and then how hard is it for them to get back up?
Yeah. And it can be work sometimes with the balance. It depends what you're going through, because it's so easy sometimes just to throw your hands up in the air in despair. And there's sometimes you do have to walk away from something. Stop worrying the sore, let it heal on its own, or maybe you're just not going to fix that bone. And it's knowing when to walk away, because the more that you're in it, the more you get exasperated, and the more you get stressed up about it. And it's just sometimes it's purely the end of that road. It's an end of that chapter. That doesn't mean it's the end of your book. There's another chapter to be written. It's step into that exploration, that adventurism, and go, what's next for me?
What's around the bend on that journey? Yeah.
It's exciting.
Very exciting. So everything we've talked about, what I'm getting, it's okay to just be.
Yes.
To be who we are. To be
simply be. Stop overcomplicating it.
Yeah. And we do that. Our minds are so brilliant, but we've got to learn to calm it down enough, because there is a lot of brilliance within us, deep within us, in our soul. And if we just listen, our soul, higher conscious, intuition, whatever, you can call it what you want, is never going to steer you wrong.
If you look at a car, it doesn't drive on one cylinder. It has at least 4 cylinders: soul, heart, spirit, mind. Right? Body is the 5th one, right? So you have to understand, in order to get the whole information, the whole picture, to know how to walk forward into something, all of those cylinders need to be working. And if they're not, stop, be still, connect.
Exactly. Connect and balance yourself out. Well, the amount of information you've given us is fantastic, and it's so inspiring that to know that the different steps that we can take, and the easiest one, and to me, I say it's easy because we do it all day long, is
Yes.
breathe.
Yes.
Is breathe. Start with breathing.
Yeah.
So I have one final question for you, Sarah. You've given so much to us. So how can I serve you?
Continuing being awesome, because that inspiration is going to resonate in other people. I think that, again, people overcomplicate it. If you have stepped into your authentic self and you are being that beautiful divine being you're meant to be, it's like an orchestra. Each one of us is a musical instrument. When we get that musical instrument to a point where we can come to the orchestra and contribute in harmony, that symphony then resonates out and has such healing commodities. So be your instrument. I'm a part of your orchestra today, and you're going to be a part of mine. That's the whole point of it, is love your instrument. Go out and play. Inspire other people.
Inspire and spread. Spread and share. Thank you. That's awesome. So I want to invite everyone here today to please check out Sarah's free gift. It's on that original email. You'll find the URL there. Also, check out her website, www.selfdiscovery.com.
No, selfdiscoveryradio.com.
Oh, sorry. Discoveryradio.com. Thank you, Sarah. I don't want to steer anyone in the wrong direction. Get more information. You can learn so much from Sara. So I really want to thank you. I'm so blessed that you said yes to come and join me.
Very blessed that I got invited. Thank you. I'm normally doing it the other way. It's so nice to be on this side of the table.
I thank everyone for joining us today. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Until next time, my name is Minette Farrell, and I'm your host.